Okay. Anytime now. Wow. It actually was delayed, and then it reset and pretended like it needed to have more seconds of not being live. Good to know they purposely delay it so it's not as live. It's like 10 seconds not live how they did that. Alright, here's the title. We're gonna make fun of this stupid additional movie trailer for Mortal Kombat because it's like some additional trailer here that was made to show how much the movie's supposed to piss everyone off, and that's why the trailer, I didn't see it before. The other trailer just shows that it's stupid and that no one would ever watch it in theaters because it's a CW movie. To be clear, CW is just people who they thought they could somehow steal WB when it closed down, like WB television, and then combine it with like also controlling as much as they could all DC Comics at the same time. Think about it. DC and WB becomes CW. And in the merger, all of the like dyed weird colored hair people born in the 70s at colleges, like till they're 45, like then they died of course, they just made crap like this. It's way worse than people born later who are actually appropriately in their 20s to be making movies like they did. Those movies are just boring. This movie's actually has the full go-ahead of all the shitheads from the older generations to like use all of the proprietary software and techniques and stuff easily so that they can shittily easily make a movie that's systematic along its length, going to piss off every demographic of population, which was why it never came out for anyone to see. It was completely just blackballed, even though it was fully made. And you'll see why as we start watching it here. First of all, you have this background here that's stating restricted preview. I've never seen this exact symbol before. It's different than the official motion picture rating MPA. It's supposed to be MPAA. This is something else they've made up. It's not the official symbol in the middle. It's slightly different. This is so strange. And it's communist, neo-communist color, like fake, even worse than the old communists, like reddish pink, like rotting blood, you know, that's been preserved in chemicals too long. That's what it looks like. So it's fake rated, of course. Not even officially. First thing we see is icicles that look like they were like thick, like thick pre-cum oozed down from like a dragon's dick all over and then froze in midair as they hit the ground. Like, because you see the thick rivulets that it's made out of. So like, okay, say the ice was formed from someone's magic. Why are they like stalagmites, stalactites going from ceiling to floor? That would indicate that the person's so powerful that they're like have their own ice cave that they like put off energy off their body that like grows jizz stalagmites, which is probably inaccurate, which is why it looks stupid for the scene.
First learned about this 7 years ago on a mission.
All right, here we go. Standard intro. You got Mr. Operator Black Man with his, you know, tactical gun, you know, have his preference.
He gets his arms broken off.
Right.
Gets metal ones put on. It's the same guy.
Oh, okay, you're right. Fair point. He pissing off everyone. He comes in first as like Mr. like triple X Ice Cube with his square, you know, rounded head and gun that matches it. Gets his arms blown off, as you'll see here.
In Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive.
Yeah, it is like you see, look. Like as though cum dribbled down multiple floors and froze. Anyways,
it's his guano lair.
He's got bad diarrhea, ice diarrhea. You don't want to be around him when he eats, you know, spicy chipotles. So then this stupid, super guy with his frost is hiding here.
When we got there, they put
Acts like he has zero fear because I guess he's charged with superpowers. Oh, poor black man. Nobody likes to see the black man get his arms exploded off. Oh, what was that flash of not seeing anything? Guys, what is that? It's just they're hiding something.
That or it's just the world's worst trailer and they act like...
So something's been cut out there, proving like it was supposed to piss people off even more, but it's just empty now. It's slowly like it's taking over his body. The reason why everyone hates the scene is because it's not like as though the ice is just overwhelming his arms, like it's just a force of ice. It's like as though Mr. Sub-Zero is infesting him with like evil ice energy and taking over his body and freezing it with his willpower versus the black man based on how he's going, oh, I don't understand how you're taking over my arms and turning them to ice. It's very clear. Then explodes his arms off. Okay.
has superhuman abilities.
Immediately switches to people who, even if they were in the original cut of the movie, it was just because the whole movie was made to piss everyone off. Like, here's your 70s people with all their camera tricks and polymer fillers, they don't correctly attach to their faces so they can look good until 2008 or whatever. Like, biggest shitheads possible. Usually they're added into the movie. This time they're actually just making the movie ground up as though they're added in. Completely because they noticed that people born later with other chemical brain damage in the 80s have this thing where they feel like they're detached from whatever they're making and like whatever they're viewing is more real, but they themselves can't be real, which makes it impossible to act. These people have the opposite problem. They always feel like they're the center of the universe, and so they just get to make some expression, and it's great acting, and the universe bends around their face and saying it's good acting because they're that spoiled. The worst people ever, and they're just commenting the whole movie.
Like Godzilla.
You'll notice a trend of all the movies they're releasing this year. It's just all of their shitty movies that have everyone reacting to the cool things and then cutting from the cool things to react more to people's faces.
The same marketing you do, Cole.
Also, I'm going to point out, this is the shittiest concept anywhere. Let's take something random. The first thing that comes to mind, Bionicle. We're doing a live action Bionicle movie. Don't think about it, doesn't matter. Bionicle, you get a tattoo of like a glowy Bionicle that appears on different people's bodies. Like the energy starts drawing them and making them see visions or fucking dreams, nightmares. The chosen person out of all of them has mysterious something creatures or ninjas show up and attack them to drive the plot forward.
This is sounding pretty cliche.
Yeah. It is. That's the point. It's cliche. And it's the cliche, the worst one ever, which in the 70s everybody got killed for already. Because there were so much movies and people still alive before they died of cancer immediately in the 80s. So many crappy movies all doing this where there's just a mysterious symbol tattoo of a better brand. They make a knockoff movie, put a tattoo on someone, and then just force it along like I said. And then it's just one shit-fest scene after another that's cliche. With the worst inserted people who've never tried to practice acting. They just said, I spent my life dilly-dallying around on college campuses, this decade, pretending to be an athlete while only running a fucking 7-minute mile. That one, acting like I'm studying ancient French literature but can't even speak French, on and on and on. Somehow looking preserved like they're still 24 years old, all the way to 45. Even though only from a distance. You get up close without the digital here, and they're just these weird, like, dry cracks appearing in the underlayers of their skin you can see.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
Skinny little hands.
He was born with it.
For how supposed built he is. Super autistic girl, supposedly, just because she has the shape of face. Here's another cliche. Just get someone with that vague shaped face because there's some genetics that cause it too. Then pretend like they're autistic. Then like wrinkle and time the fuck out of it and pretend like there's something extra spooky, magical, fucking special going on because there's an autistic child who has kind of a glazed, wide-eyed angle here to their face saying something special exists. So then you have to because they're so special.
Hey, wait a minute. I've seen that in a bunch of movies. That's in like everything. Isn't that even in the Matrix?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that scene in everything.
Yeah. They turned God. They turned Amun-Ra bending a spoon into a mentally retarded small child who looks like he eats Frosted Flakes for breakfast. Yes, that as if that didn't offend all the real races of humanity left on the planet. If you have one spark of real genetics left, you're like, why the fuck are they turning God into a weakling child? You would expect to see God as a child, capable, existing in general in all categories, somewhat.
Unlike the people in this movie?
Yeah. Now, are we ever going to see a shot of him shirtless in the preview? To see how disgusting he looks. Doubtful. Oh, okay, we saw a flash. So the black guy with phony arms says this guy's been chosen, which pisses everyone off because why the hell would the black guy not be chosen? This guy's lame as fuck. But he still has arms here. This is weird.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world.
This woman is just showed there. You see how her shoulders aren't so narrow that like they're disappearing? The only reason for that is because there's literally been two types of people alive. The ones who said they were going to destroy all hormones of humanity by taking only like hormone therapy that's like based off of this like angle of male like destruction. Then everybody who's doing that, they all get their shit out of the way through the last number of years. Meanwhile, these other people who've been using female hormone therapy, a lot of females and stuff who've made it longer because it's not as dastardly what they did, even though they themselves are more dastardly because they hid longer and have a mentality, these people, like they get to hide and that makes them special. And then they validate the fact that their hormone therapy worked at all and kept them from shrinking and squeezing down like everyone else because they just kept using the progesterone stuff, so that what it does is it pushes from the center of your core here, from the inside out, and pushes any bacteria or anything you have, because most people it'll seal off, but this stuff they're taking keeps forcing out into their shoulders, forcing their lats bigger, forcing their biceps and triceps open until it kills them. But actually then taking other things other than even antibiotics to preserve their life and hide and wait for everyone who's cheated with male energy genetics like type hormone therapy to die off completely, then just act like this next decade they just get to step forward as female empowered people who look juicy swole but are even weaker than all the fakers before. Like, you know how before there was fakers who like on like male hormone therapy and roids and stuff, you know, they lift like 200, 300 pounds even though they're like 300, 400 pound huge guys. These new people can barely walk as they're huge and juicy. And she, like, they're just finding the people who balanced it barely somehow. But remember, this is an ancient movie, and that's how she did it. She's just one of the select few from some elitist group who got even access to the female hormone therapy way early in the early 2000s to look like a person who, compared to all the other females in society who aren't given anything like that, extra sexy supposedly. But do not be fooled. She's a disgusting cow and just working completely off her genetics and cheating drugs.
History, different culture.
They don't even show her face.
Also, their faces are blurred. They're blurry.
Blurry.
They look like strung out.
And instead of having the announcement trailer, like the people talking in it, be like some official guy's voice or some like God's voice saying, "You can never defeat me in Mortal Kombat," you know, I'm just, you get the point. Instead, it's these weaklings who shouldn't be in the movie explaining how they've made the movie and the plot to you as the preview goes on. This image here would indicate that there's actually someone in the movie who's badass based on how he looks and what's going on here. But he doesn't appear in the movies. There's no actor that looks like that.
They're just trying to sell you it.
They're just selling you it based off of ancient looking stuff.
Reference a great tournament.
Yes, a great tournament that will never happen in this movie because it only happened thousands of years ago, like every lame ass book series, movie series, game series. They get you in hooked with artwork and brief videos of epic struggles thousands of years ago. Then the actual content is just lame ass shit with nothing going on.
Wait a minute, you mean like everything on Netflix?
Everything left on Netflix that they haven't deleted. Then Amazon, they've deleted everything off of there, so it's like Netflix now, so it's only shit. They actually said on Amazon now, when I signed into the Amazon device, the new Fire, which by the way has worse speaker now, singular speaker on it. It's the new device supposedly. The ancient ones from 8 years ago had better speakers and better software, better hardware. The new one that I just logged into, it says watch thousands of movies and TV shows. Thousands of movies and TV shows on Amazon Prime. Thousands. Not even tens of thousands anymore. They're literally tiny cubic contents of the worst cultage cottage cheese bullshit right out of their dicks.
Champions.
Okay, when I saw this, because I did watch part of it before saying I was going to make fun of it, he looks sweaty, like as though he rubbed Vaseline on his lips for his cold sores, you know, and, you know, his STIs are really acting up. Then it flashes to a scene of, is it a different guy or him?
Yes.
Okay, so it's someone else that's... I bet in the movie though, which everyone can see here, they're piecing it together. He doesn't appear in the mirror like that. They're piecing that together
To try to make it seem like something.
to make it seem like they would even do that. Because while it's cliche, at least it's like the character got startled. Like it's a good jump scare that makes people feel like the character's being actually startled. So I guarantee it doesn't happen in the movie, and everyone knows that. Then we switch to this scene where you feel like maybe something's going to happen, which is why I paused here. Like, okay, the arm's a little skinny, you know, and it's kind of short, the forearm, like it's a midget guy. But, you know, maybe there'll be something here. Because, you know, obviously it's going to be Asian or something, you know, based on those stupid tubers and shit in the garden.
I think
But then it's this guy who like had his career in the 90s already hollowing out from cancer in different stupid movies, a lot of which weren't even like action movies. Then in the moment he's dying, they get him for Mortal Kombat insanely. Probably lie to him because it's such a shitty movie, telling him that he's supposed to be an old guy dying in the plot, then just change it to even convince him to be in it. It's usually what they do with actors like this.
To fight for something known.
Like, there's no... The spinning of the rope with the blade on it, it literally was like it went around out like in a 180 from him, like as though he somehow whipped it this way, and then it would come looping around and hit the guy in the side of the head. But we can clearly see that somehow it went from looping this way to shooting straight forward into his forehead. It's just stupid looking.
Mortal Kombat.
Like, that wasn't that bad because remember, this guy has had enough experience, even though he's busy dying, that he's going to make some scenes look like it's something. But he's so weak, just, it's sad. Then you got these shitheads. Like I said, I was complaining about this with other movies. They're wearing coffee shop clothing in the desert. I'm sorry, but people don't want to watch a movie where there's out of place people not dressing up for the environment they're in. Like, maybe she supposedly vaguely is a little more, even though it's still like she ran to the coffee shop clothing. He's purposely just trying to piss everyone off. He had time to change into better clothing or something. That's just what his character in the movie says he wears, because fuck everyone. He's trying to not look fashionable in any way and just regular to ruin the movie. So he's obviously worse than even her, because she's more of an attention whore. Just next to these guys who are actually in a movie based on how they're dressed.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
Ooh. Just the, like, stock guy who's not really that Irish but has used endless cocaine until his beard's red. But, like, here's what I'm talking about. CW, this is why it would never come out. Because it's not even in the right place. It's literally so thin. It looks like it's coming out from above his eyeball, out of a little like piercing, like as though he got lobotomized up here above his eye, and he's shooting lasers out of like a battery bank from his lobotomization out at people like a total spurt.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it honestly reminds me of that.
Oh my god.
Now you start to realize why I'm making fun of this trailer.
Oh my god.
Like, it's not even the guy's fault. He's just another Gerard Butler who just doesn't get to be famous, you know? Who cares?
I'm okay.
Okay, so, like,
Thanks, Jax.
is that the same black guy?
I think so.
I think so. I don't know. Now he's got metal arms, so I'm not sure at what point that happens.
Cool.
Okay, the other guy here actually looks barely youthful enough because of his mixture of genetics. Once again, making me think, which is why this is especially bad, that they actually like started the process of making a Mortal Kombat movie with actual actors, you know, picked out that makes sense barely, even though, you know, they're too small maybe. Then just somewhere along the way it's completely co-opted by these shitheads and they just add themselves in. Cause like they all look barely soldierly enough. This guy, he has way too much of a baby face for how old he looks. Like, it's supposed to be like an epic god with like light trickling through scars on his face, like worn, elongated Mongolian face. They purposely chose someone that's the opposite of that because every Mortal Kombat movie and game since the 50s, yes, they've been out that long, specifically shows this character with his face like light splitting out through scars as he screams and attacks people or whatever the hell. So they did this to piss everyone off. Turn him into like a little miniature rice farmer or something. Just, you see, they pissed off everybody about black people, you know, already getting, you know, destroyed. Now they have to piss everyone off about the Asian people not looking correct for the parts they're in. Which is why I'm saying they didn't destroy the movie in every segment, every chunk. Like, here's a buff dude, you know, who cares how swollen he is? He's buff, you know, okay. It's like they just said, how much can we get in here and apply around these actors making the movie sneakily so that the movie's completely destroyed for watching, because there's not enough scenes left of anything interesting. They just winnow it down enough while making the actors feel like they're making things and acting.
They did that a lot in the early 2000s.
A lot. It's common.
No matter how many
Alright, the special effects are alright, okay. Walking into the sun. Okay, here's some.
Why does she have a regular tongue?
Yeah, like, again, she's like partially edited to like have a bigger mouth maybe, or like scarring, but then
a regular tongue.
and then her teeth are slightly jagged maybe, but just regular ultimately. I'm confused, this middle ground here. It's just pissing everyone off. Like, I'm telling you what they're trying to do. They said everyone's too attracted to monster women with muscles and titties or anything. So instead, let's get someone with no titties, cover the titties as much as possible, and then not even have it be a proper monster woman, and like play the middle ground so it's just like a woman who's ugly for no goddamn reason added on. Just to piss everyone off.
we will not fit.
Okay, see? The imagery here. You see the demon. Thousands of years ago, demons like this battled epically. That's the movie we want to see. No one in the movie looks like this except maybe the black guys. But see, they're all just swollen up over their muscle. Whereas getting real actors would mean they have bones and then all sticking out all over because they're so huge and long and like live for long enough. Then the muscles striated in with it. You can actually see bones with the muscles, which is what this is showing, which is what people want to see. Like, do you see how weak that evil main bad guy is? Like, he's as weak as the other old guy, which again leads me to believe that what they did was they took the plot that this guy, who's also an actor I've seen in things in the 90s, and the other guy just generally made a lot of movies together. So they're told, we're making a crappy Mortal Kombat movie. You guys will play the role of ancient, like, worn out masters who, like, are really lame but are killing, you know, mortal ninjas in the movie. There's like a side plot. Then they take that and make it the main plot, with the bad guy being this super weak retard who just has no muscles. So who cares? The whole movie's pointless now. But he's got special powers. Who cares? It's about the visual. Like, this is especially atrocious. Like, pretending the movie's coming out now in 2021, you could never get away with this shitty of digital if it was coming out now. It looks like digital from this time period from 2000s. Like, where are the arms? The lower one meets the upper one. There's no logic. Like, they've made the scene so crappy. This is supposedly it's at 1080. but you can't see anything purposely in the scene. They like to strategically blur things for trailers because there's just like in terrible animation things, the lats for the upper arms versus the lower arms just kind of squeeze together and don't react together right because the whole frame is off. The arms aren't located where they should be. It's just they did it backwards. Everything about how they would do it, like the worst retards, just getting someone, not even a real bodybuilder, because then it would look too cool, just someone's imagination shittily of what somebody buff orc would look like some orc probably from some other show or something.
Making it in 3D make.
Then in 3D make, they just slap on another pair of arms that duplicate the above ones, below it, right onto the lats, and then just flesh tone blur it in.
Yes.
Literally.
That's like weird flesh tone photos actively as he moves.
Then just kind of like crinkle it and blur flash it. It looked terrible in theaters. Ooh, it would look bad. And right, you know, they want to make it look that bad, so you completely disconnect from it being a real living creature of any kind, so that you don't say, ooh, sexy muscles, because it looks too retarded. Then you've got a shot of a set, you know, standard town set, you know, main city, you know, thoroughfare, whatever, with him throwing ice down or something. Every crappy movie, you know it's crappy when, like, unless it's a kid's movie. When they, like, go down the main boulevard of a town and fight epically, unless it's a kid's movie, then it's still a kid's movie, because that's just kids' movie material. And so I'm like, wow, okay, they got some actors, they do some choreography, you think it would be something.
I am Sub-Zero.
Like, the guy's voice is so weak that it sounds like the robot I Am Iron Man, like echoing out of like modulated computer parts. Like there's so little left of his voice, it's so weak. Because again, remember, they're trying to piss people off with the main characters they want to see look tough, then make them sound extra weak and lame and look extra weak and lame. They even add in a little bit of sound afterwards, not cutting it off like, oh, that really took it out of me in the studio doing that voice. Oh, I need to go like smoke weed and a cigarette now. Oh. Yes, more fighting endlessly in this stupid fucking room. Like, how many times did they manage to get people into this one fucking building with the splooge ice everywhere to fight the same guy for no reason throughout the movie? I'm just wondering. But I'm like, wouldn't you just like make it spikier so he slams into the spikes as he smashed through it so it impales him? Why is it just a sort of spiky ice wall? Whatever, who cares? It's entertainment, it's visceral, it shatters. I can't complain. That's why, again, I'm even complaining about this movie, because it should be barely watchable so you can laugh at scenes. But you know they've destroyed every scene. Right, that guy, right, he was aware actually, because he's like plugged into the little culture there is in the world, you know, since after basically the 90s. Like, he knows that Mortal Kombat is supposed to sound manly, and so he tries to modulate with his own voice acting to force it lower at the end of Get Over Here saying it. It sounds dumb, but at least he's thinking about it, you know? All these scenes, you know, should be great fun, but they're just luring you in. It's just a few minutes of sploogey ice scenes, and then the rest of the movie is nothing. That's it. like extra slow music. Here's what they're thinking with this outro based on 70s movies. Excuse me. Based on when there's a series of movies, or they're hoping there'll be a series of movies, and they think they have a killer music score back in the day, what they would do is play the music score like really profound and slow. Like, here it comes, the potential new series of movies. Then, like, show the symbol and the words or whatever with it, like, in a certain color that's more plain. Like, they're doing all that stuff, things that people barely even remember anymore that used to be the culture. Just because they're people born in the 70s as little kids, endlessly flicked through the TV back when there were endless TV movies on, before cable television became nothing, watching shithead movies as tiny children, eating garbage, and then just sealing their brains into those that only your memories they have. Until they get all the way to this point in the 2000s when they're in their 30s, pretending they're still in college, ruining this movie.
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
Yeah, then ended with, you know, him seeming extra sensual. You see what they did there is they took all of the bloody gore scenes that you would expect in a Mortal Kombat trailer, but based on the way they all happened, that's all the bloody gore scenes in the movie, and they just showed them all at the end to you, so there's no point in watching the movie. Because you might say, well, wasn't there action scenes around those bloody gore scenes? No, I guarantee somehow it just is immediately blood and gore scenes with as little action that you would want to see as possible around them. So there might be a cut of the movie with less of those stupid shithead main actors supposedly and more of the actual actors. Then it's barely watchable as just a silly movie that you forget and then say, hey, remember when we laughed at those action scenes? But it's not that. It's nothing. There you go. That's my full understanding on this. If anybody else wants to add anything in, any comments, let's see if anybody's commenting. Yo. I guess I'm pretty much done. This is all I was gonna do. Thanks for saying yo, though. Yo back at you. Alright, I'll end the stream.